All right, let's start in a seated position tonight. Closing down the eyes, sitting up nice and tall without any strain at all to the back, shoulders away from the ears, and just start to come into the breath. Deep breaths in and out of the body. Starting to feel the inflation of the belly as you inhale and the drawing of the belly to the spine as you exhale. Hi, Susie, nice to see you. And just take about 5 or 6 breaths here, being really curious about your own breath. We'll inhale to take the last breath together. Exhaling to let something go. Blinking open the eyes. Let's bring our right fingertips to the mat, sweeping the left arm up and over, reaching that arm away from you, lengthening all the way from the hip to your fingertips. And then inhale, coming back, exhaling over the other way. So make it a reach, a straight line from your fingertips, nice, lovely shapes, to your hips. Inhale, coming back up. We'll twist to the right, so left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Inhaling to sit up tall first, and then to twist to the back of the room. Through the upper spine. Hold there for one more breath. And then inhaling back to center, over to the other side. Sitting up tall first, then twisting. Keeping the neck relaxed. Forward. If you've got a block underneath you and it feels okay, you can leave it there. But if you want to remove it, of course, remove it. So just inching your fingers forward, coming into a forward fold. Your legs are still in your seated position. It's fine if your hips lift up off the ground. Taking 5 breaths here. Beautiful stretch for the lower back. Like always, looking after your bodies tonight. If you have any injuries or areas of your body that are speaking to you, please treat them with kindness and compassion. One more big breath here. Exhaling to release. Inhaling, slowly bringing yourself up. Removing your block if you're sitting on one. And bringing your feet to the ground, bent knees. Hands beside the hips, fingertips pointing out to the sides. Inhaling the hips up into reverse tabletop. So squeezing the glutes together. Opening the chest, pushing away from your shoulders. And take 1 or 2 breaths here. You're very persistent tonight, Coco. Exhaling, sitting down. And coming onto hands and knees. So taking a moment to find your shape, spreading the palms wide on the mat. Under the shoulders, knees under hips. And then coming into 5 or 6 rounds of your own cat-cow. Moving in terms of what you need with your body. If you need to move side to side or open up the wrists, anything at all. Start to listen to your body and give your body what your body needs, not what your mind might think it needs. We'll take 2 more breaths here, wherever you are in your cat-cow shape. And then when you're ready, we'll bring our elbows under our shoulders, wrists in line with the elbows, and come into a dolphin plank. So we're on the balls of our feet, we're squeezing the inner seams of the legs together. We're rounding our upper back away from our elbows, but we're pushing our elbows into the mat. And we're engaging through our belly. The hips aren't piking. It's a plank pose. Really beautiful for the shoulders. Lovely shapes, everyone. We'll take 1 more deep breath there. And then we'll start to pike the hips and tiptoe the toes towards your chest. So you're coming into a dolphin shape. You've got your bottom half of your body in downward facing dog. You've got your elbows under your shoulders and you're rounding away from your elbows. It's a strong shape, but it does wonders for shoulder strength. It's also good for your hamstrings. And let's bring our knees to the mat, sitting back into child's pose. Bringing the hips to the heels, the forehead towards the earth. Knees can be together or separated. And just coming into a few breaths here. Letting all of that go. Two more deep breaths here. On the next inhale, we're going to come into our down dog. So through hands and knees, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, finding your downward facing dog. Pushing yourself away from your palms to make that A shape. So tilt the hips up more than you think you need to. Belly to spine, backs of the legs towards the back of the room. Bending the knees as much as you like. And taking 2 breaths there. That looks nice, lovely. Think about your chest being in upward facing dog. So open the chest. And then from there, lifting the right leg up towards the ceiling. We're going to step the right foot behind the right hand and find our warrior 1. So placing your left heel down, left foot flat on the mat at a 45-degree angle, sweeping the arms up. So bending into the right knee, squeezing the left glute, extending the arms up in this warrior pose. It's a strong shape. All the warrior shapes are fierce and strong. And then finding the softness in the shape. What can you soften? Can you lower the shoulders away from the ears? Can you bend into the front knee? Can you feel the outside blade of the back foot? Can you feel as if the inside thigh of the left foot is rotating to the back of the room? Feel that even out the hips. And then we're going to come forward over our front leg into arrowhead pose. Arms reach back, shoulder squeeze, belly off the spine. Gaze forward and soft. Finding the breath here. Softening the breath here. And then inhale back to warrior 1. We're going to blossom open to warrior 2. So stepping your left foot back. Noticing if your front heel and the arch of your back foot are aligned. Feeling the outside blade of the back foot, but then think about energetically dragging the feet together. Torso's in the center of your hips. We're not leaning one way or the other. Arms reach out to the side, engaging the arms, and then dropping the shoulders down. Left arm down, Right arm sweeps up and over. Maybe bending a little bit more into the front knee. Reaching that arm up overhead, engaging that arm. Coming back through warrior two, straightening the front leg without locking up the knee, heel toeing the back foot in, leaning over your front leg for triangle pose. So wrap the right glutes under. Opening the heart to the side of the room. You can stay here or deciding to place your hand on the shin or a block. As long as you're not folding down to do that, it's an opening shape. Torso's open to the left side of the room. And then bringing your left hand to your hip, bending through the right leg, coming onto the ball of the right foot. If you can, arms reach forward alongside your ears. From there, think about coming onto the tippy toe of your back foot, engaging the back leg for warrior three. Belly to spine. This is too tricky. You can bring your arms back behind you. So finding the shape that you need tonight, wherever you are, is perfect. And then gently stepping your left foot next to your right, finding your chair pose. Keeping the feet hip distance apart tonight. Hips down, arms up. If it's hard on the shoulders, open the arms wider. And then hands to heart center, standing up. You may wish to widen the legs and the feet a little bit more, coming down into Malasana, yogic squat. So triceps into the inner thighs push back into the triceps, opening through the heart. From there, we'll reach our arms forward, gently curling our hips down towards the mat, coming into Navasana. I haven't forgotten the other side, don't worry. We're sitting here in boat pose. You can hold onto the back of your thighs. You can bend the knees. Exhaling, low boat. Only the lower back is on the mat. Belly pulls down to the mat. Inhale, high boat. Exhale, low boat. And coming down to the mat. Taking a breath, letting that go. Squeezing the knees in towards the chest. So from here, you can stay here if this feels nice. Or we're going to place both hands to the mat, lift our hips over ourselves into plow pose. So if that's in your practice and it feels nice, without jumping or jarring, knees come towards the face, lengthen the legs over the head, toes towards the ground. Palms flat on the mat beside you. Taking a couple of breaths here. Or you've got your knees to your chest. Either one is perfect. If you're in Malasana, bringing your knees back to your chest. From there, we're going to rock and roll up and down our spine, all the way back into chair pose. Of course, you can use your hands if you need. Oops, I try not to. No right or wrong. We meet in chair pose. Inhale, standing up. Exhaling, forward fold. Stepping the right foot to the back of the mat. Warrior one on the right side, widening the stance. Inhale, coming up. What can we change in this shape? Maybe it's a deeper bend into the front knee. Maybe we're feeling the outside blade of the back foot. Imagining the inner thigh twisting towards the back of the room. Feel it aligning the hips. And then exhaling, opening out, warrior two. So again, bending into the front knee, engaging the outside blade of the back foot, body's in the center, arms reach out, very nice. Flipping the left palm, reversing the shape. Reaching that left arm over your head as if you're trying to touch the wall behind you. Engaging the spine. Think about energetically pulling the feet together. What does that do to the shape for you? Inhale, opening up. Straightening the front knee, heel toeing the back foot in. Leaning over the front leg. Wrapping the glutes under. When you lower your hand, make sure your torso doesn't change. We don't want it going towards the ground. If it does, stay higher. This is an open torso shape. And then taking a couple of breaths, maybe gazing at the top arm. Inhaling, right hand to hip, turning over your left leg, bending your left knee, stepping in onto the ball of your foot. Arms alongside your ears. That rounding feeling in the upper back, belly into the spine. Maybe you float the back leg up. Warrior three. If it's hard to balance and you want to come back to aeroplane with arms extended behind you, that's perfectly fine. Or even hands to chest. Very nice. When you're ready, meeting in chair pose. Maybe coming a bit lower, hips move back. And we're going to lower ourselves down to the ground again. You can use your hands if you need. Coming into Navasana. This time from Navasana, either knees to chest or we're coming into Halasana. Fingertips to the mat. Making sure you're not crunching your neck in this shape. Moving the chin away from the chest. So hands to the mat. We're going to come back into chair pose, Utkatasana. So with or without the use of your hands, chair pose. Should we do that once more because it's so much fun? If you like. Hips towards the ground. Navasana. Plow pose. Halasana. Coming back for chair pose. Utkatasana. It's okay if it's a bit messy. It's just the fun of it. We'll all meet in chair pose. From there, hands to chest. Inhale, right knee up. Exhale, right leg back. Warrior three. Think about the weight being even through the standing leg, through the top ball of the foot as well as the outside ball of the foot, if that makes sense, both sides of the feet. Let's exhale into a curtsy, right knee to calf. Inhale back to warrior three. Exhale, knee to calf. Lengthening back up. Last one, knee to calf. staying there. And then gently bringing your fingertips to the mat and coming into a seated twist. So your right leg can be extended if you like. Otherwise, wrapping the right leg around the left hip and finding your seated position. We'll inhale the right arm up to the ceiling. Exhaling, bringing the right elbow around the left knee. Inhaling to sit up tall. Try and have both sit bones on the mat. Exhaling, maybe you look over your left shoulder. Take 1 or 2 breaths here. And then bringing your left fingertips to the mat behind you. Bending your left knee, taking hold of the outside blade of the left foot. Lengthening the left foot. Sitting up tall. Maybe your left arm floats up. Maybe you gaze over your left arm. Left hand down, looking back to the front, coming back into your twist, replacing your left leg where it was, coming forward, standing up, and bringing the feet back under the hips, coming into your forward fold. Letting the head drop. Taking a few breaths here in your forward fold. Inhale, rolling up, chin to chest. Weight into the right foot, hands to heart, left knee up. We're coming into our warrior 3. So leaning forward, extending your left leg back. Even out the hips, belly to spine. Exhaling, left knee, right calf. Exhaling, open up. The stiller your gaze is and the softer your gaze is, the more it will aid in balance. Left knee, right calf. Back to warrior 3. Last one. Left knee, right calf. Holding there. And then gently bringing your fingertips to the mat, bringing yourself into your seated twist. So you choose left leg extended or bent around you. Inhaling the left arm up. Exhaling, bringing your left arm around your leg. Fingertips behind you. Inhaling to sit up tall. Exhaling to twist. Feel that twist through the upper spine. Inhale, looking forward. Taking the outside blade of the right foot in the left hand. Extending that leg. Maybe lifting the right arm behind you. Coming into your seated twist. We do this shape standing sometimes, so just knowing that it's accessible for all of us in a seated position. Crossing the legs, coming forward. Uncrossing the legs, coming back into your child's pose. Heels to hips, forehead to the mat. 2 breaths here. And then inhale, rolling yourself up. We'll come onto our shins for a camel pose. So making sure your knees are 2 fist distance apart. Squeezing the glutes to open up the front of the hips. Hands to heart center. or hands onto your hips as if you're putting them into jean pockets, squeezing the glutes, opening the front of the hips. That doesn't change, this lock of squeezing the glutes, front of the hips open. Wherever you are, reaching the spine and the belly tall, and then rounding yourself back over. You can keep your hands at heart center. You can keep your hands on your hips. If you've got the space and you want to take hold of the heels, of course you can do that, only if it feels good. And then look after the neck. Don't just crunch the neck back. If it feels okay to have the neck back, of course, but don't throw it back. Chin to chest if your neck is speaking to you in this shape. One more breath here. Exhaling to let it go. And inhale, gently making your way up again. Now, this is only for some people. Taking the block, placing it under your sit bones, and coming into hero pose. This is not for everyone, so please. Usually in this shape, the knees are together and the feet are outside the hips. So either here or just coming into a normal seated position. If you're in hero pose and it feels good for you, you can either just stay sitting on the block or you can move the block. It becomes a lot stronger in the knees and you don't want any sensation in the knees at all. So see how you go. Maybe you're going to lower yourself down onto your elbows. Otherwise, you're in a seated position. You can come into a forward fold if you're seated. Maybe you're going to lower your shoulders down to your back if you're in hero pose. So it's an internal rotation of the knee. It's a strong shape, so you can play with it, but we don't want any sensations at all in the knee. Beautiful to see you all taking different variations. If you're in your seated pose, maybe you're in your Japanese seat and you're folding down over your legs, forehead to the mat. No right or wrong, just accepting your body where it is tonight. If you're in your hero's pose, we reverse the process where we come back onto the elbows and then gently back onto the hands, bringing our hands to the front of or to the side of us and sweeping our legs around. So if you're in a seated position, making your way into Paschimottanasana. So legs are extended forward. Sitting nice and tall on your mat. Inhaling the arms up to the ceiling. Engaging the belly to the spine. As if you're moving from the back by tilting the hips. Bring your chest towards your toes. Arms reach forward. And then maybe bringing fingertips to the mat, curling your back in. Taking a few breaths here. If you want a stronger shape, you can look at your feet, belly to spine, and inch your hands forward. And then let your head drop. But either way, we want the lower back to be extended, we don't want to curl into the lower back. We want to lean forward, belly to our thighs. If that shape's just impossible, the option is always to sit on a block, and that will usually bring you onto the front of your sit bone. 2 more breaths here. And then on the next inhale, chin to chest. Starting to make your way down onto your back. Rounding yourself down, vertebra above vertebra. Coming down slowly and with control. And eventually bringing yourself into a lying position. Squeezing your knees to your chest. Opening your arms out to a T. Crossing left leg over right. Put your right foot down and shift your hips over to the left. And then come into a side twist. Arms straight out. Maybe you're gazing over your opposite arm. Maybe you're putting a block under your knee to support it. Why wouldn't you feel comfortable? Two more breaths here. Inhale, coming back to center, uncrossing the legs, lifting the hips and bringing them over to the right. Right leg over left. Exhaling, dropping your legs over to the left. Unless you did the other side before, then do the other side. Maybe you're gazing over your right arm. Maybe you're placing a block under your knee. One more deep breath here. Inhale, coming back to center, uncrossing the legs. Shifting your hips back into the center of the mat. Extending the legs down the mat. Bringing your arms alongside your body, palms turn up in a gesture of receiving. Taking a big inhale to release the practice, release the breath, and come into your Shavasana. Some deep rest for the body and the mind. Maybe the energy is pulsating through your body. Enjoy that feeling as we come into rest. The body's worked hard and now we're resting. Relax your jaws and your eyelids. Imagine your ears have got little weights in them and it's pulling your skin down towards the mat. Feeling the earth supporting you underneath your body. Breathing into that support. Surrendering to the effects of the practice. On the next inhale, bringing the left hand to your heart and the right hand to your belly. Just connecting with those two spaces. For a few more breaths. And then we'll gently bring some movement to the fingers and the toes. Rolling over to one side. Taking a moment to pause here and just scanning the body. Noticing anything that's changed or softened or opened since you started the practice. This little bit of magic that yoga brings into our lives every time we practice. Different every time we step onto the mat. Inhaling, bringing yourself up to a seat. Keeping the eyes closed if that feels okay for you. And coming back into a seated position with your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly. Feeling the energy in your torso under your palm. Feeling the breath moving the body. Maybe connecting with the heartbeat underneath your hand. This whole universe inside of you. Becoming conscious of everything our body does for us that we're not even aware of. Usually we only become aware of it if something isn't right. Let's inhale our arms up towards the ceiling, keeping the eyes closed, bringing the palms together. Exhaling your palms to heart center.